Good afternoon, Dr. Guy. Max, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any public comments?
Do you have any public comments? Didn't you say there was one? No, that was.
It's for next week.
No, sir, not yet, not at this time.
Mr. Perez,
Yes, sir.
in the agenda, look at the public comment statement. It's an original statement from previous board meetings prior to our changes to that.
Oh. Public comments for citizens to address the board.
Yes,
Yeah, so that's correct, right?
okay. Then we'll do that. Six more minutes.
You have one for, I think they're all gonna be on.
Mm-hmm.
My notes.
Hey guys, Richard Jones here.
It's 5:30. Good evening. Do we have a quorum?
Emily, do we have a quorum?
I see Richard's online and myself.
Call the roll, please.
Call roll.
Emily Hunt Daly. Ron Ortiz.
Here.
Richard Jones. Dion Sandoval.
Here.
Richard's on mute.
Richard Jones.
Yeah.
And Ira Shambo.
Here.
Emily Hunt Daly, one more time.
Emily Hunt Daly.
Well, let me call the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Let's have the Pledge of Allegiance. All those participating, let's say the pledge. Mr. Ortiz, Ron Ortiz, would you lead the pledge?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Let's go to number 2, adoption of the agenda. Mr. Perez, are there any changes to the agenda? If so, what?
Yeah. Yes, sir, Mr. President. I think the under action item, the first action item, being that a couple of the board members did not have enough time to review the draft of the proposal for the agreement, I'm going to ask that that be removed from the agenda for this evening.
All right.
That's 7A.
For the public's interest, the board, each board member needs to have sufficient time to view any document that is on the agenda, and we have to, it's very important for us to make sure that all board members are able to prepare themselves for this meeting. And we will bring this up again. It's a very important document, but let us give board members an opportunity to review this. So that is item number C, memorandum of agreement on reentry communication coordination with the Pueblo of Acoma and other tribes. I believe that's an important one. Mr. Perez, is that the only changes to the agenda?
And just for clarity, Dr. Guy,
Yes.
that is on my agenda, item 7A.
7A. Apologize. 7A, memorandum of agreement. All right. Are there any other changes?
No,
If
sir.
not, is there a motion to approve the agenda with changes?
Hey, this is Richard. Hey, they keep saying the host won't let me unmute, so I pushed it 50 times.
We
But-
hear you now.
We can leave that on there for discussion. We need a discussion on that, but we can take the action off of that. We're not ready to take action, but at some point we need discussion on it, and we can leave it on there for discussion, just take the action off.
I would prefer that we wait on that until the next time, until we have sufficient time. It's premature to discuss something that some of the board members have not had a chance to really examine it carefully.
Well, that's how we examine it, is by discussion. It's absolutely premature to put it on there as an action item, but as far as discussion, why would we not want a discussion? I'd love to hear from everybody.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, most definitely, as Richard stated, we're gonna have to discuss it at one point and not just bring it back as an action item. Even if I have enough time to review it, I would like to discuss with my fellow board members and the superintendent the contents of the MOA and some of the other things inside it. So either we discuss it tonight, or if we bring it back at a following board meeting. If we bring it back at a following board meeting, I'd like to leave it as a discussion item prior to voting on it.
Once again, is there a motion to approve an amended agenda?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented.
Would you repeat that again?
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented
Is there a second?
with the changes.
No, you can't do that. It's either presented or amended.
Well, presented with the amendment on the agenda. I'll approve it. Is that
It's a
okay?
bit difficult to hear you, but what you're saying is that you want to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll move to approve the agenda as presented with changes.
What changes?
Removing item 7A.
Can you send Emily an invite? Laguna Woman? Okay, it's on its way.
Okay, so you're saying that you wish to approve the agenda with the changes of removing 7A. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a second? Seeing none, the motion fails. We will continue with the adoption of the agenda as is. All those in favor of all those in favor of a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a motion for that? As presented.
I guess without the change. Sir, Mr. President, just for clarity, I think, is this a recommendation for a motion to accept the agenda as is without the change of the 7A?
It is my understanding that a motion was attempted to approve the agenda to remove action item 7A. And I asked for a second. There was no second to that.
So I can make another motion.
We can make another motion.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda and make that as a conversation and take the action off of it.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by motion made by Richard Jones and seconded by Dion Sandoval to approve the agenda as amended to allow this for discussion and but not to act on it tonight. Is that correct?
Correct.
call for the motion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Motion carries. Adoption of minutes, August 4th, 2020.
Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Motion made by Richards. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ron Ortiz to approve the minutes of August 4th, 2020 as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carries. The next, recognition.
Okay, Mr. President, Board, once again, we don't have a specific person lined up, but I'd just like to do a shout out to all of the teachers, the community support staff, cooks, bus drivers, everyone who's helping organize and getting us through the first days of school. We knew this was going to be an interesting adventure and a tough path. We are on day 7 today with school, and we still have a number of challenges, but we also have some successes that some of the schools will be sharing with you all this evening. And we'll have some more detailed updates a little bit later on the agenda with where we're at with different aspects of reentry, including attendance, devices, and things of that sort. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Let's continue on to the next agenda item.
Okay, there are no citizens to address the board.
Presentations.
Presentations, Mr. President, School Board. This evening, I've asked some of the schools to share some of the things that are coming out in our last principals meeting. I thought it would be great to have the board, the community that are present to get a glimpse of some of the things that are going on in classrooms. I've been to several myself and haven't seen the complete extent, but you have to know that there are some good things that are happening out there alongside all of the challenges. So we do get our share of phone calls with people that are not satisfied with the situation, and rightly so. But we want to share some of the brighter things that are going on out in the district. So I'd like to start with a representative from Milan Elementary. I know the principal DeArmond was not able to make it this evening, but she has a representative here. Ms. Barajas.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Our school has prepared a slideshow for the board to watch. It's a compilation of several teachers speaking about their successes about the first week of class.
Proceed.
I believe Dr. Martin has that available. If not, I have it on my screen that I can share.
There it is.
There
Thank
are.
you.
Perfect.
Okay, Ms. Barajas, you can just tell us when to switch slides. She's on mute.
Okay, here we go. So this is just our first week of school successes. You can go ahead and change to the next slide.
Dion's not on again. Unmuted.
So this video should have some sound.
Our first week of virtual learning went great. I couldn't be any more proud to be part of this team that we have going. Our students and parents did a wonderful
Okay. We're having some technical difficulties. We have two board members are getting muted, and we're not getting the sound on the PowerPoint. So give us just a minute.
Sure.
job. Our staff communicated very well with everyone.
Can I have those two board members sign off and sign back in?
Glass door 1.
How about that speaker right there? No, go back on the screen right there. Is that all the way up? Miranda?
Yes,
Okay. Yeah, we're still working on it.
perfect.
And let Richard Jones in. And Dion. Richard?
Glass door 1.
Richard, it's not letting us unmute you for some reason. Or Dion. There's Dion's on now.
Okay, I'm on now.
Okay, you know what, Miranda, if you can hold up, we're gonna go ahead and go, we'll continue working on that and come back to you.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, we'll come back and let's go to Mount Taylor. Hopefully we don't have the same issue with that one. And we're having trouble with Mr. Jones and Mr. Sandoval getting muted. Mr. Richard Jones and Dion, if you could just text me and so we can communicate until we get this fixed.
Can't even hear me.
Okay. Try to unmute yourself now, Mr. Richard. Dion's is still not working.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
There you go. Let's try it. Dion's back on. So
It's on now.
Okay, good. Let's hope that hangs on. Nope. Okay. Okay, Mount Taylor, are you on, Mr. Lang? You have to unmute Stephen Lang. Okay, you're on, Mr. Lang.
Good evening, Mr. President, Superintendent Pettis, and board members. Thank you for inviting me to be here tonight. This is my first opportunity to address the board. I have a presentation of the highlights of the reentry here at Mount Taylor Elementary, and if that can be shared. So we've had a lot happening in our building in the last month. One of the big projects that took place here was a refurnishing of all 32 of our classrooms. And this project was begun under Ms. Montoya's leadership here and was executed by Mr. Atencio. We have placed new desks, student chairs, and teacher desks in all 32 of our classrooms. This is a sample of it. You can continue forward, please. Oh, I don't know. We're out of order here. I think you went backwards. It shouldn't be, but no. Okay. Continue forward. Here we have a classroom that has one of the 32 new smart boards that have been delivered to our school, being used right now to deliver instruction to some of our sixth graders. Go ahead. We opened a new kitchen for serving meals out of over the summertime. That kitchen's final inspections were completed and it's been opened and the staff has been working in there. Continue, please. They've served 1,428 students their lunches already in the first week and a half of school. We have an outstanding staff and they work very hard. They're the same staff that worked through the shutdown last year. So they've really got this down to a very efficient way of delivering out these meals. And starting Monday, that meal delivery will be daily rather than the 3 times a week. Go ahead. Here's another example. This is our 6th grade classroom. We have teachers already utilizing the technology that's been provided. We have classrooms throughout the school where our teachers are already very fluent in the Google Classroom environment. The students are getting more fluent in it every day. Proceed, please. This one was our kitchen staff wanted some of their brand new equipment to be recognized because they're appreciative of it. Continue. And here they are posing as they worked yesterday to deliver these lunches. Proceed, please. And they're absolutely sparkling new equipment for sanitizing. Of course, all this means more once we have students in the building. Thank you. Proceed. And there's the counter of the new kitchen. A lot has been going on here. Some more of those student desks and the classrooms as they are set up, featuring the new equipment and the new furnishings. Continue. We've also rolled out 165 devices to students here at Mount Taylor. And we have today, as of today, enrollment is 439. We have staff working daily to make sure that we started with our 6th graders and provided laptops to every student in need. Then the 5th grade, and completed 3rd. We have enough devices to take care of all our 3rd graders. All those parents have been contacted. Some of those devices have already been delivered. A number of 3rd graders will get their devices tomorrow. And it looks like we have enough inventory, as a few more items or devices arrived late this afternoon to vet and then deliver out. And we should have our 2nd graders that are in need of a device all supplied by the end of this week. So we've worked really hard to make that happen, and we've attained 98.5% contact response loop. So we've been able to contact every home of every student that we have in our building, and we're 1.5% are virtually unresponsive, though, after the first couple of days of school. So we're still working on that. We haven't given up on that. And that's what we've been able to get done in this first few days of school. Thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
You're welcome.
Before we go on, can we try Mount Taylor one more time? Send it to Emily's GCCS. There's still no sound, Ms. Barajas. So we have 2 choices. We can have you present just verbally without the slides or sound, video, audio. We can put this on to the next board meeting.
Each teacher was giving kind of their own synopsis of what was happening in their own classroom pertaining to their own kids. So I don't know if I would be able to relate that as well as they did in the videos.
Okay. So that being said, okay. Do you have that show on your screen?
I do.
Can you go ahead and share it from your side and see what happens?
Sure.
It's showing now.
Awesome. So this is just our title slide. And like I said, not every teacher, most of our teachers gave a little synopsis of some of their successes that they came across the first week of school.
Hi, my name is Daniela Tensier. I'm the school counselor at Milan Elementary. Our first week of virtual learning went great. I couldn't be any more proud to be part of this team that we have going. Our students and parents did a wonderful job. Our staff communicated very well with everyone. And from that hard work, we were able to reach 96% of our students that are currently enrolled. The students were reached either through online learning, calling and picking up packets, and having daily communication with their teacher. My goal for this next week is to work with that 4% we didn't reach and find out what's going on with that group.
Was everybody able to hear that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Good evening. My name is Miranda Barajas, and I'm the instructional coach at Milan Elementary. We have a ton to celebrate after this first week of school, but one of the things that we are most excited to celebrate is the fact that every single classroom in our school has a smart board. Our teachers are going to be using this to meet with their students daily, as well as provide some really enhanced instruction for their students. It has video and audio effects to provide engagement for their students, and overall we are just very excited to use them. We've had a couple of trainings on them, and the teachers are familiar with them and they're ready to get their feet wet with them for the first time this week. So that is something that is super exciting. For our curriculum this year, K through 5 for ELA, they are using Core Knowledge Language Arts. Our 6th grade is doing Engage New York. For math, our entire school adopted Ready Classroom Mathematics. That has a super cool online portion that our teachers are very eager to use, and they have been rocking those worksheets and giving them out to their students and having some packets as well as other students on Google Classroom daily. So that's a very exciting portion for our school that we are very excited about, because the curriculum is very comprehensive and we feel that it's going to be very beneficial to our students. One of the biggest things that has come out of this pandemic and our teachers virtually teaching is the way the teachers have built their knowledge capacity. Not only have they jumped up and rose to the occasion 10 times over, but they have done a fabulous job of building their knowledge capacity, from Google Classroom, Google Meet, to finding online resources, how to get those things to their students, how to teach online. All of this is completely new to our teachers, and it's something that they need to be celebrated for. We are there to support them in any way that we can, and we are doing so. But I think that is one of the most important things that have come out of us online teaching, is the fact that our teachers have rose to the occasion and they have just gone with something and done the best that they can for their students. So congrats to our teachers, and I know that's teachers all around the district, so thank you to them. But those are really good things to celebrate, especially for this first week of school. There was a couple of hiccups, but we delegated those problems out to the correct person and they have been taken care of. So we are excited about that. We are working as a team and we are doing the best we can while we are teaching virtually. So thank you. Let us know if you have any questions and we will get those answered for you. Thank you.
Good evening. Yesterday I was asked to make a quick video on all of my successes during this past week of virtual learning. And reflecting on that, I have to say that none of it would be possible if it wasn't for the ongoing support from my principal, my coach, my colleagues. We've just really built a system on trust and respect. And in this different time, we've just truly supported one another, and teachers are able to help one another in everything that we do because we collaborate almost daily. In fact, my daughter's 2nd grade teacher, Mrs. Calzada, has really brought back the love of learning for my 2nd grade daughter, and I'm just so grateful to be a Wildcat. She's created a wonderful learning atmosphere. We have PE.
Rose. Rose on someone's.
Yeah, my computer, I don't even see my cursor. But yeah, those are teachers sharing their testimonies of good things that have been happening this week. The overall consensus of the teachers is that they have been doing some really awesome work, and connecting with their students, connecting with their families, which I think is one of the most important things that we should be doing right now, as well as providing them with a curriculum, whether it be in packet form or online form, but they are doing such a phenomenal job. I would like to share a student perspective of how online teaching went. And then that will be the last one. So.
Hi, my name is Madison Millar. I'm 9 years old. I'm in 4th grade and I go to Milana Elementary. I like going to Milana Elementary because the first week of school, it was pretty fun. And we did a lot of activities that involve virtual. So like, for example, like we did Flipgrid, which is an app that you get like, so we needed to do like what your favorite thing is and what your nickname is. That was really fun. And I also like going to Milana Elementary because all the teachers I've had, they've been really helping me to be doing work. And like math, science, and all of the other subjects. And thank you, bye.
So that was just a kind of a student perspective of how the first week of virtual learning went. But you guys get the picture. Everybody has jumped on board and been supportive of one another, supportive of other teachers, of families, of students. And we're just doing the best that we can with what we were given. So thank you. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Barajas. Appreciate it. Good things happening there. I appreciate you sharing. We'll get out there and take a look in person here soon, at least at the classrooms.
Yeah.
But I know that you guys are monitoring and get to see the students on a daily basis. It looks like you guys are to a good start. Day 7, we'll keep it going, and we know things will get better as we move along even.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Guy, are you trying to speak?
Thank you. It was a very excellent presentation.
We got
more of that.
We got a couple more. Dr. Guy, next up, we have Laguna Acoma High School, Mr. Jackie Sanchez. Are you on?
Yes, sir. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so I'll be brief, but I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, Mr. President, for having me on, Mr. Superintendent, and all the board members, and all the visiting people that are enjoying watching the board meeting. But when I first was asked and offered the opportunity to go to Laguna Acoma, I was very excited. And this excitement was to not only work with the staff that's there, but also get to know the students and the community. Sadly, that opportunity has been minimized, where most of my focus has been on the staff. So that's what I'm going to focus on right now at the beginning. And in my celebration, we started things a little different at Laguna Acoma. We that first year was that first week was getting out Chromebooks and meeting with the students on a one-to-one basis with a teacher in the building. This gave us an opportunity to build relationships, to make sure the students knew how to use the technology. I know when the school year ended last year, one of the complaints I heard from parents was that they didn't know how to use the technology. It was great to see, although we were minimal, you had one student, the parent and the teacher. We were very strict about our CDC guidelines, but it was nice to see those students come into the building, even if it was very brief, to understand how to use the technology, Google Classroom, and be prepared for the school year. That is starting to reap its benefits now, because as we get students online, yesterday was our first day of really strict instruction and following along. And we're seeing students able to jump right in, be involved in the classes. And it also gave the teachers an opportunity to work with the technology. Every classroom has a smart board, and I want to thank the school district for offering that to the teachers. Oftentimes when I first got there, the teachers didn't feel always supported. They felt like they didn't get everything everybody else did, but now they feel like GCCS is behind them. I spoke with the teacher today, and they said it's so refreshing to see us have all these things and to have this technology and to see us get the attention that we're getting. And for them to be able to learn how to use that technology is amazing. And I guess my biggest celebration for me as a school leader is to not just see the teachers use it, but to see our experienced teachers. If you could see Mr. Otero, who is a veteran teacher out at Laguna Acoma, and Miss Jeremiah and Mr. Jeremiah, they have been icons of Laguna Acoma School, and they've been teaching for a very long time. To see them embrace the technology and make it part of their instruction is pretty incredible. They came out of their comfort zones. They've really stepped up to use that technology in their classrooms, and to see them engage. I'm able to log into their classrooms as a co-teacher, watch them give that instruction, watch them interact with the students, and it's like they're doing everything they possibly can. Now, it's not without struggle and without difficulty, but they are doing the best they possibly can, and they are rising above. And if I could say anything about my first week at Laguna Acoma High School as a principal, it is the celebration of the staff and how hard they're working, how hard they're coming together. I see teachers using their preps to step into other classrooms to sit there and support their colleagues. And that unity is just amazing. And, you know, I've always heard about how tight they are at Laguna Acoma and how tight the staff is with one another. And I saw it this week, and I've seen it the last couple of days. And so my celebration is the use of the technology, the unity between Laguna Acoma, the positive culture. Sometimes I go in the classroom, I'm like, how's it going? Are you guys struggling? Are you guys able to make through it? And they're like, we're doing great. Well, we're going to get through this. We're going to work together. And to hear that from teachers at this time and with all the things that they're dealing with is why I want to be a principal and why I want to be at Laguna Acoma. I am proud to be there. I am proud to be part of their staff and their colleague. And I want to, again, thank the school, the district for offering everything that they're giving our the attention that we're getting. Of course, just like anything else, it's having its struggles, but those struggles are overcome by the positive energy I'm getting from the staff. So, and I don't think I have any staff on here today, but I want to, in public, I want to say I appreciate them and everything that they're doing, and them standing behind me as a leader and how hard we're working together. So, thank you guys for the opportunity to go out there and to grow as a leader myself and to be part of Laguna Acoma High School.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez, and we also appreciate the staff and the things that they're doing for the students there. We recognize there's still issues everywhere, and we encourage you, cheer you on, and want to know that we want to work with you, not just this first week, but through the rest of this year, whatever the challenges are. Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Yes, proceed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, proceed.
I know you, Mr. Sanchez, you had a new approach where you were meeting with parents and a parent and a student and an advisory teacher to get them more familiar with Google Classroom. And how did that work out? Were we able to reach all the students and get them trained?
Yes, ma'am. And actually, that's where our success is usually for students, because they're able to get past that technology difficulty. As you know, we have a lot of grandparents and relatives that are older that are helping their child learn at home. And so this gave them an opportunity to come in and work with the technology themselves. Not only did the child work with it, but the parent got to as well, understand what Google Classroom, how to log in, how to do all those things. And to be honest, it's really limited our phone conversations. The phone calls we're getting now is getting our new students that are coming in. We have a lot of new students coming in from Laguna Acoma, from the Laguna Middle School. And that's an excitement to see a lot of students transferring in, because I think they're hearing good things. And I had a parent in my office today that I was reviewing with him because they weren't able to log in or they weren't able to come at the beginning, and they just transferred to Laguna Acoma High School. And when we got through with it, they were saying, I'm so glad you did this, because I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to help my child. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to come in. So it was a huge success. And I'm hearing positive feedback from parents, teachers, and students.
Okay, you had mentioned to me about that, and I was worried. I was wanted to make sure we got a hold of all the new students, got them a password, got them online. It was a new approach, and I applaud you for taking that effort to meet with each of the new students personally, and that should have made them feel more welcome, and like there was somebody behind them to help them out, and not just give them a Chromebook and say, log on to Google Classroom and good luck. I wish I had that one-on-one. But I did. I was fortunate to have Miss Lara Aerosmith take me under her wing and show me Google Classroom. And both my husband and I, and we were very fortunate that she's an expert in that area. But thank you. I really appreciate giving that extra time to those new students. Mr. Sanchez, good job.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. President, I'd like to go on to the next presentation sharing from Grants High School. Mr. Widener, I don't know if I want to pull his up or have him do it on his side.
All right, I can unmute now. Thank you all. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm coming to you from the Port of the Pirates, and I'll try to be brief. I have just a couple of things I'd like to share. I first of all want to thank the school board, Mr. Pettis, the business office. Our technology has stepped up so much in the last 6 months. Thank you to the technology department. Mr. Sanchez mentioned that we have smart boards in all of our home classrooms, and that's making the online virtual teaching a lot more effective. We have over 45 smart boards at Grants High School. So every teacher is teaching from a smart board and teaching on Zoom. We gave out more than 800 Chromebooks, and so students have Chromebooks all throughout the district and are able to log in and access instruction from their homes and from their living rooms and their bedrooms and TV trays in their houses, and lots of good learning happening the last 7 days. Unfortunately, tonight in the last 30 minutes, you guys have experienced some technical difficulty. Unfortunately, a lot of our kids experience technical difficulties. There's not enough broadband in our communities for our kids to be able to Zoom at one time or be engaged in instruction. So kids get kicked out of meetings, they get kicked out of sessions, and it's really frustrating. We've had a lot of parents call. And unfortunately, you guys get hear a lot of those complaints, that there's these issues going on. And so I was really pleased when Mr. Pettis asked me if I would share some of the good stuff that's going on. Being a virtual principal, you get to be very visible in classrooms. This summer, I've been kind of the only person on the pirate ship. And so now it's really nice that we have teachers here. I've told them that their classrooms are their spaces. And so they're moved into their classrooms and teaching from there. As you guys probably know, we have a little bit of a different schedule at Grants High School. We implemented a system where we could get instruction out to our kids in multiple formats. We wanted kids to be able to access instruction from Google Classrooms. We wanted them to be able to participate in Zoom meetings. We wanted them to have lectures and discussions through Google Meets, Google Hangouts. Every student with the GCCS account has a YouTube account, and so we're using YouTube for some of our instruction. We're using Google Podcasts. Students are in contact with their teachers through email and through Gmail submissions through Google Docs, Google Sheets. And so they're submitting assignments in that way. And then we're also making a lot of phone calls. We've revamped our attendance office at Grants High School. And so we're making phone calls to families and to the kids that we're not hearing from and the students that have internet issues at their homes. Currently, we're at about 86% attendance. There's 14% of our students that we need to be in contact with. especially as you guys know in the state of New Mexico, after 10 days, you're looking at, where your kids are and why they're not at school. And so right now we're trying to track that 14% of our student body and see what's going on and what problems they're having. There are kids that are sitting in parking lots at schools. Today there were kids sitting outside on a picnic table. It's 90 degrees outside, and kids are sitting outside trying to get their instructions. So our community, our communities and our small communities are going through a lot to get instruction and to get education. So we have to commend our families for all of the effort they're putting in, and our students. They're working hard to be part of it all. I'm going to share a YouTube video, and like I said, I'm going to try to be brief. So let me share my screen, and we'll do the YouTube.
If you want him to share his.
Hello, freshmen. Welcome to Grants High School. Congratulations, you.
Let's go ahead and let him share his side. Okay, go ahead and share on your side, Blaine.
Okay, I will pull it up. Share this video.
Hello, freshmen. Welcome to Grants High School. Congratulations, you are now officially a pirate. Let me show you your school. Follow me.
Your Algebra 1 teacher this academic year. I am a licensed professional teacher both in the Philippines and the US, and this will be my 10th year in teaching with experience in algebra, geometry, trigonometry, and statistics. I had the privilege in coming to the US last year in the hopes to learn from your culture. I am globally competitive, and I am dedicated to providing a safe learning environment that enables all my students, that means you, to grow academically and personally. In this video, I will give you a quick tour to your classroom.
I'm going to stop there. The video is 7 minutes, and I can send the link to you. As I said, we all have YouTube pages through our Gmail accounts. And so a number of our teachers are doing YouTube videos. They're welcoming the kids to school, even though the kids are not physically on campus. I've started doing a YouTube channel where we do the daily announcements. We do the Pledge of Allegiance. We tell the kids what's for lunch and try to make sure that they're getting the information that they need so that they're still part of the school community. At this time, I'm going to share a PDF doc that kind of shows you some of the things that I've seen as I've walked through the schools, and just kind of, there's a lot of innovative teaching going in this fashion. So I'm going to share my PDF document with you. As I mentioned, the teachers are using Google Classrooms, and Google Classrooms has capability through Google Slides and Google Sites to create virtual classrooms. So here is the virtual classroom of Miss Pasamonte. There are links there. So if she tells the students that they have an assignment, they can click on the classroom and it takes them to the assignment. It takes them to YouTube videos. It takes them to the Khan Academy. In some of our subject areas, the textbooks are uploaded there online. And so the kids have access to those resources. So a virtual classroom is a website that has lots of information there. If you go to the GCCS website, the administration of Grants High School, we've created our own virtual offices. So you have a virtual principal's office where you can click on my daily announcements. You can see kind of things that we have going at school. Talked about Miss Amper. Last week we were struggling to get attendance, and every hour we're checking twice to make sure that the kids are here, that they're in the Google Classrooms, that they're present, that they're not getting those robocalls, that they're not in attendance. And we're trying to watch our numbers to make sure that our kids are getting school. Mr. Venable came up, Mr. Venable is photoed here. Mr. Venable came up with a really good way in the Google Classroom to question your kids, to poll your students. And when they respond, Google Forms will generate a pie chart that shows you that, 75% of them responded to the question. And so they're there. It's kind of a seamless system for taking attendance. So that was something good that we shared amongst our colleagues. Mr. Marayo is our welding shop teacher. And as you guys know, welding is a very hands-on subject. A big part of that is safety and knowing the how-to of how to weld. Mr. Marayo downloaded an app on his personal cell phone and was able to upload his textbooks and assessments and demonstrations to show his kids how they could read without having the textbook online. And so we've got teachers that are doing that and uploading books and pages and information, trying not to violate any copyright problems. In this picture, Mrs. DeGroat, Amy DeGroat, she's a 10th grade English teacher. She is working very hard teaching her colleagues. She pulled in a group of 5 of her colleagues and was showing them how to do the online teaching meetings with your smartboard. She taught summer school in June. And so she's showing them how to effectively use the smartboard as a tool for teaching. And so I thought that was really good that she was willing to mentor a whole group. Mr. Gonzalez, I walked into his classroom and he was using Google Meets and Google Hangouts. And so here he was with his students. He was giving them an assignment. The students were changing the assignment in real time. They had access to the assignment, and they were able to, instead of coming up to the board, they're able to type on their computers and make changes that the entire class can see. And so that's another different style of teaching than we're used to. I want to thank the district, the business office. Last week, both Grants High School and Laguna Acoma High School received driver's education simulators for our driver's ed course classes. These are very much like driving a real car. And I got to kind of experience this. We spent quite a bit of money on these simulators. And so our kids are learning how to drive a car safely with, to meet the requirements of driver's education. And so this is another neat tool that the district has provided and that we are very grateful for. Here, as you know, I mentioned we have kind of a different schedule where we're using different formats every day. Here is an assignment that Dr. Randy Gutierrez posted in his Google Classroom, and it was very engaging. He had a bell ringer. He went back to testing what the kids had learned and trying to make sure that they're understanding objectives. And then, of course, all of the teachers have invited administration to their Zoom meetings, their Google Classrooms, their Meet sessions. And so it's made the evaluation opportunities for us a lot greater because, while I told them their classrooms are their homes, we have the opportunity to go into their virtual classrooms and their virtual presentations and make sure that there is good pedagogy, good teaching happening. And so that's some of the good stuff that I saw last week, and I will continue to keep watching that. And I really thank you for the opportunity to talk to you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Widener. Appreciate that. Encourage you to have a good school year. Week 1 down, week 2 and 3 are going to be even better. So appreciate that. And we also understand we have still continue to have the challenges, but just want everybody to know there's good things going on at all the schools. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. President.
Yeah, well done for those of you who made presentations. We'd love to hear some more of this in the future meetings. Very, very good. Mr. Pettis, can we alter the sequence in the action items, board members, to have the students first?
I would encourage that if it's possible. I know we have at least one student that's here to present, waiting on deck.
If there's no objection, board members, we'd like to go to the consideration for approval of high school graduate, early graduates. Mr. Pettis, why don't you proceed?
Okay, yes, sir. So, Mr. President, we have Jayla Valencia, Jaylee Valencia, sorry about that, and Brianna Darby and Destiny Moore. First up is Jayla Valencia. Did you have anything that you can say about Jaylee? So Jaylee was brought forth by counselor at Grants High School, and we need the board's permission for her to graduate early. I'm assuming that she, Mr. Widener, she's accumulating the required credits, and like the board's approval to move her forward.
Mr. Widener, do you have any comments about her? Any comments about your student?
Sure, absolutely. I think it's just Destiny and Jaylee that are here tonight that actually got their paperwork submitted. Jaylee and Destiny are both exceptional students. They are juniors. They're starting their junior year. Their hope is that they can work completely throughout the school year this year and graduate in May with the class of 2021. They both are on track. They're doing dual credit. They're acquiring the credits that they need to be ready, and we just need the board's approval to let them graduate and start their lives a little bit early.
Jaylee, is that how you say your name?
It's Jaylee, sir.
Jaylee. Jaylee, would you like to say a few words to the board?
Yes, sir. Hi, my name is Jaylee Valencia. I am wanting to graduate early to get a head start on my law school education. I have already started taking classes last year for college at our local college, and I am eligible credit-wise to graduate early. Also, I wanted to take this opportunity to plan further for my future, since in a couple of months I will be attending beauty school. So I can have that as like a side hustle to make extra money on the side while I'm going to law school.
Excellent. Very interesting. The other student, Mr. Widener, did you make any comment about Destiny? You already did, right?
Destiny is also, she's going to present and talk. She's also a junior, and she's hoping to skip senior year by acquiring as many credits as possible.
Right, let's hear from Destiny then. Destiny Moore, we'd like to hear from you.
Mr. President, do you want to finish up on that first action item for Jaylee?
Do you want to do it separately?
Yes, since they're listed separate, I would recommend to the board that we approve the action item D for Jaylee Valencia.
There's a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion has been made by Richard Jones to approve the early graduation of Jaylee Valencia. Seconded by whom?
Ron, I'll second.
Ron Ortiz? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those against? Motion carries. Congratulations. You are now prepared to do early early graduation, Jaylee.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Congratulations, Jaylee. Wish you the best.
Good luck, Jaylee.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all.
Richard,
Mr. President, so if we can, Mr. President, we also have Brianna Darby. She's not on. Okay, so we're not going to act on Brianna Darby this evening. From what I understand, we don't have all the necessary paperwork submissions to act on that this evening.
All right. We're ready to go to Destiny?
Destiny, yes, sir. Mr. President, Board, we have Destiny Moore with us this evening. Welcome, Destiny.
We got to hear from you.
I am here today to give my reasoning behind wanting to graduate early. Let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Destiny Moore. I am currently a junior at Grants High School. What sparked my interest in wanting to graduate early is my past. When I was in first grade, I was held back by my parents due to my struggle with dyslexia. For those that are not aware of what dyslexia is, it's a disorder that involves difficulty in learning to read, comprehend words, letters, and symbols. I was in special education class that had helped me improve on those things. My parents knew that I didn't need to stay there due to how much I had excelled, so I was in regular classes throughout my years in elementary. Being a year behind has made me want to strive for bigger and better things in life. It's also an insecurity. I have made a few achievements over the years. I joined a club known as BPA, Business Professionals of America, during my freshman year. My first year, I went to regional states and then nationals. At state, I qualified to go to nationals for computer networking and technology. Nationals, I went to Anaheim, California in 2019. This year, I went to regionals and state for banking and finance and for fundamental desktop publishing. Earlier this year, a few group members and I got recognition from the school board for our achievement in BPA. Before BPA, I was a cheerleader in middle school up to my freshman year. I have taken summer classes, math classes to get a year ahead. As a junior, many are required to take Algebra 2. I am taking trigonometry, meeting the requirements of 4 math classes needed to graduate. After high school, I want to prepare myself to take the ASVAB to a higher branch in the U.S. military, further my education in computers and electronics or even the medical field. I really appreciate the time taken out of your guys' day to listen to me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perez, Mr. Wagner.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, Board, I recommend that we approve Destiny Moore to graduate high school early.
Is there a motion?
So move.
So moved by Dion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Emily. So motion made by Dion, seconded by Emily to approve the early graduation of Destiny Moore. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those against? Motion carries. Congratulations, Destiny.
Congratulations, Destiny.
Good luck, Destiny.
Yes, congratulations and good luck.
Miss Daly, I think we're getting some background noise on yours.
So Destiny, the motion is carried. You are now going to be able to graduate early.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Perez, you can, the 2 high school students may stay on, but they can also leave at this point. We have completed our business with early graduates.
Thank you. So if I can get back to the second presentation item. Be the
All right.
first read of the New Mexico School Board Association Policy Services Advisory 208. This is the first read. This policy involves just enhancing our current attendance policy so it relates better to the online learning. So not only does it enhance our current policy, but it's also the state is asking us if we would do this by August or September 30th. Dwayne Toivanen, are you on? Can you speak to this?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Pettis. So this is a supplement that the PD is recommending be acted on by boards by September 30th. And as Mr. Pettis said, it addresses the virtual learning as a result of COVID-19. And there's also a regulation that just gives examples of synchronous and asynchronous learning. And with that, it's just a addition or supplement, if you will, to our current attendance policy.
And that's all I have for that item, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Pettis, let's continue on with our action items now.
Okay, before action items, since we changed the memorandum of agreement from action item to discussion, would you like to do that first, or would you like to do it after the, what order would you like, Mr. President?
Can we do D, consideration? Can we do consideration of approval for local government road fund?
Okay. All right. So action item 7B, consideration approval for local government road fund cooperative agreement with New Mexico Department of Transportation. I do recommend approval of this action item, and we have Mr. Vansley here to speak to that.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Mr. Pettis, the local government road fund cooperative agreement with the New Mexico Department of Transportation is an agreement to continue the drainage project throughout grants. This is actually design money for the area that is adjacent to Mesa View Elementary School. We are responsible for 25% of the cost, but that cost is flow through money through this grant. So I will answer any questions you might have at this time.
Pettis, anything else on this?
No, sir. It's a partnership with, as he stated, we're ready to go forward with it, and I recommend that we approve this action item.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
The motion has been made by Richard Jones. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ron Ortiz.
Okay, Mr. President, board, the next is
Wait, we haven't voted on it.
okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Jump the gun.
All those in favor of approving this action item, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion carries on local government road fund cooperative agreement. Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, Mr. President, board, we have the collective bargaining agreement for 2020-2021. I believe it's been ratified by the union, and we're asking the board to approve this evening. I do recommend approval of this action item. We have Mr. Toivanen to give an overview.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President, board, and Superintendent Pettis. So as you know, due to COVID-19 and the special legislation that occurred because of that, our negotiations were delayed, our normal negotiations, but we were able to get together and negotiate once we knew what the legislative session yielded. So with that, and the union was able to ratify this, I'd like to thank CC Fuse and their good faith bargaining. But what we ended up negotiating was a 1% raise for all employees, not an average, retroactive to July 1st. And also with the changes in the minimum wage, we decided to get ahead of that. So our clerical, custodian, and cooks, we will be increasing the minimum hourly wage to $10.50. So we will be in compliance with the minimum wage requirements that will be effective January 1st, 2021. And the final thing was that hourly employees would utilize paper timesheets for documentation just to help us with our record keeping. So again, I'd like to thank the Cibola County Federation of United School Employees for their cooperation and helping us get through that.
Thank you. Mr. Perez.
Yeah, that's the overview. They've been working on it for a while. I do recommend approval tonight.
All right. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll move to approve it.
Motion was made by Ron Ortiz to approve the collective bargaining agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dion Sandoval to approve the collective bargaining agreement for 2020-2021. All those in favor say aye.
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 I need to hear the voices. I didn't hear a voice.
Aye again.
Aye.
Okay, apologize. It's really hard to hear some of these. Any those against? See, now the motion carries. Approve the collective bargaining agreement has been approved. Thank you very much, Dwayne, and those of you who have been involved with it. Mr. Perez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. So I'd like to get back to the item that was changed from action to discussion. This is a memorandum of agreement on reentry communication coordination with Pueblo of Acoma and GCCS. So if I could, I'd like to just give an overview. Been working with the Acoma, Pueblo of Acoma, and the Acoma Department of Education, Dr. Melissa Riley and Governor Bayo. We've had some discussions, and we've uncovered some areas and opportunities for improvement. One of the areas we focused on is communication. In that meeting, in the last couple of meetings, we talked about some definite actionable things that the district can do to shore up our communication with Acoma. And also, since we were discussing this with them, it shows that this is only for the Pueblo of Acoma, but I'd also, as we work through this, expand to other groups as part of our consultation processes and requirements. I would take the next steps to extend it out to Pueblo Laguna, Navajo Nation for that purpose. But I'd also like to say is that all the communication pieces in here are good for all of us students of Grants Cibola County Schools. And some of the items in here are just basic good practices. And I would like to for you to know, the school board and those in the audience that have we've been in discussion with, that even though this is not being formalized through an action this evening, there are many things that we can and will do in the meantime, while we give the board more time to work through this. I have to say that the timing was not good in the sense that there was a couple of board members that didn't even see the proposal until today, and just needed more time for them to think about it, sift through it, synthesize, and so on. There is no deadline on this, so to speak, formal deadline, but we do, I do want to work together with not only the Pueblo of Acoma, but with all of our groups, because we're in a tough situation. As needless to say, we need all hands on deck, and we need to work together. So with that, Mr. President, I'll turn it over to the board.
Okay. Members of the board, let me highlight some guidelines that the New Mexico Public Education Department sent to us, and was, I believe a copy was sent to you, individual members, but it listed the ways in which the school districts would support Native Americans in the reentry guidance, and it is part of the process of consultation that not only the state is involved with when it comes to tribal education, but also the federal government requires specific kinds of activities on the part of the district. And one of the things that it does say is to actively solicit input and participation from tribes. It also says to encourage cooperation in reaching an agreement with tribal representatives on the best possible decision for those involved, and particularly Native American students. Allow for open, timely, free exchange of information among the parties to lead to a mutual understanding and comprehension. Whether or not consensus is reached, consider other perspectives and concerns and honor a tribe's sovereignty. Develop an understanding of the true educational concerns of tribal communities. Most importantly, conclude consultations with documents and shared agreements that seek and find solutions and alternatives as applicable. Prepare protocols for when tribal communities are closed. Collaborate with tribes to prioritize Native American students for in-person instruction based on individual needs. Those were the guidelines that Mr. Perez was seeking to follow as he works with all of our stakeholder groups. I don't believe that he was intending to have it only for a specific tribe, but also was, I believe he stated that all the things that he was doing here would be applicable to the district from San Rafael to Cebolleta when it comes to engaging and communicating. And I just read the section of the guidelines that Mr. Perez is following, and we are now in a position of giving us a little opportunity to share our thoughts and to ask some questions for Mr. Perez and ourselves, so that we can ensure that we do our best in trying to consult with our stakeholder groups. That said, let's take a look at the agreement, Mr. Perez. Let's go through the bullets. Mr. Perez?
Yes, so is it in everybody's best interest to go through each one of the items?
Go through, or do you want to ask questions on different ones?
Just let me know when we're free to comment. I don't want to run over anybody at all, and we can go line by line. It's fine, or everybody can jump in and give their thoughts now. It's fine with me.
So either way, it doesn't matter to me. We all have it in front of us, so if you just want to speak on different bullets or speak on as a whole.
Okay, I think Mr. Perez would welcome any inquiries or suggestions or possible additions or whatever. Mr. Does anybody wish to begin? Mr. Emily, you're here, I believe, aren't you? Emily, are you still here?
And Dr. Guy, just to suggest, what of these are
There's a little back feed. I'm not hearing you. There's a little back feed.
Okay, so I'd suggest that.
And I think that's me.
Oh, Mr. Perez.
Yes, since there's a lot of these are pretty self-explanatory. I'd like to suggest that we answer questions from the board.
All right. Board members, that's his
okay.
request.
Mr. President, this is Mrs. Daly. I wanted to kick off. I'm looking at bullet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And particularly, I think both organizations should reciprocate that since we do share students and families, we might have a middle school student that goes to, that has a high school student going to any one of the high schools. So that on bullet number 8, that the Pueblo of Acoma will also notify the GCCS administration of any outbreaks that might affect our students at GCCS and their students on the Pueblo. I would also venture to say that number 9, coordinating and supporting the Acoma department. I know in looking at some of the data and some of the assistance that are coming from different programs or different organizations, I can't recall. There was one that was initiated through Santa Fe Indian School, I believe, and it was free organization that was promoting free assistance to internet connection, and if I'm right, all the pueblos had access to that, and it was just by chance that I happened to see it on Facebook that they were offering these services free of charge to the pueblos, and so that the pueblos would also again reciprocate to the GCCS administration of any services that are being offered to the different pueblos, if they could also connect with GCCS so that we can either assist, utilize, or take advantage of any free services that they're providing. So I think that those should also be, we should also have them providing that notification and that coordination to the GCCS school district, as well as, of course, we'll be doing the same thing on our side. I think it's important that we share information and that we attempt to coordinate these efforts, especially when it comes to connectivity. The rural areas are going to be a challenge for us to make sure that our students, all students across this, our districts, will have that internet activity via hotspots, jetpacks, that sort of thing. I think it's important that we both, the district and the tribe, share that responsibility to coordinate those efforts as a joint effort, so that we're not doing things in isolation. I appreciate some of the other stuff that's in there, but those kind of stuck out for me, and I thought that we could also include them on the part where the Pueblo of Acoma and the Acoma Department of Education would also provide us that same assistance that they're asking from us as well. And those were about the only two ones that I thought needed some kind of balance in the memorandum of agreement. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, this is Richard. Can I jump in?
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't want to cut it. I don't want to cut anybody off, but if it's my turn, I'm going to start with a question, have a few comments, then I'll end with a question. Okay. Question: who wrote this?
Richard, I drafted it up based on the conversations that I had with the internally and with the people at the Acoma Pueblo and the Department of Ed.
So this memorandum of agreement came from us.
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, Dr. Guy, thank you. I do understand the guidelines from the PED. I have also had them. I've also read them, and I do understand them. But in those guidelines, there's nowhere in there that says that our school district needs to sign a contractual agreement. And I'll go through here, and we'll go a little at a time. So we'll just start at the first. Communicate weekly through virtual meetings between GCS administration and the Acoma Department of Education. First and foremost, the Acoma Department of Education is not our governing body. We, Grant Cibolo County Schools, is the governing body. And I do need to say, this is a very well-written document with some great ideas in it and things that we absolutely need to do. I'm not against this document. I need to clarify that first and foremost. I actually think we do need to collect monthly school site parent communications and deliver those school messengers. Well, I don't really know what a messenger is, but flyers, phone logs monthly. But I think we need to do that to everybody. I don't think we need to enter in a contract to say that we're going to give it to one subgroup. I can go through each and every one of these. I won't. But as far as a memorandum of agreement, we've all already done our agreement. And our agreement is we're going to provide your kids with a free education. We're going to give them the best teachers there is that we can find. We're going to give them 2 meals a day. We're going to safely transport those kids home or to school from home and back. We're going to offer them several different extracurricular activities. And we're going to try to provide them with the safest learning environment that we can. That's our agreement. That's our agreement to every stakeholder. That's our agreement to the Navajo Nation, to the Laguna Pueblo, to every Hispanic family in this area and in our school district, also as well as every Anglo family in our school district. To pick out a subgroup and sign a contract with them, especially when we've never even heard of this before, and then all of a sudden try to slide her in there to put action on there, that's not only insulting, it's unfair. It's unfair to the rest of the constituents that are in our district. As I said, everything in here is good, but we don't just owe it to them. We owe it to everybody. We owe it to every student. From, all this, and we talked about internet connectivity and stuff. You know what? I saw today, there's about 3 or 4 families that are driving their kids to Mount Taylor Elementary School, and their kids are working on computers in the parking lot because they don't have any internet. So you're telling me that the kids in San Rafael that may not have any internet, we're not going to worry about them and not sign a contract with them? Our contract is with the entire district. For us to jump up here and give control over to another governing body that's not the governing body of our students or the school district I don't understand it. Everything in this document is great, but we owe it to all of them. And we've already signed the contract with them when we started governing their kids and their students. I don't understand why we pick one group out and then, the others will come along. No, the others are already there. We owe it to every student. And my next question, or my follow-up question, what's our school motto? Every student, every day, building a person for life. Don't say just Acoma students. Don't just say another subgroup of students. It starts off with every student, every day, building a person for life. I'm for every student. I'm not for one group over another. I'm for every student. And that's all I got. And I'll field questions, whatever.
I think Dr. Guy's laptop, he just texted me and his laptop died out. And I think he's trying to get back on.
Dion, Ron, Guy, I'd love to hear.
I got a couple. You know what? When I read this, when I seen this yesterday, first of all, I had some heartburn that it came to us so late. Second, none of the board members that I know of had any discussion in the adoption or even coming up with the agreement. Our obligation is to each and every school, each and every student throughout the district. You know, then when you say an MOA just with one entity, what about the rest? You know, we're isolating everybody else, but we're concentrating on one group. You know, you have Laguna, you have the Navajos, you have all these other little communities. You know, like Richard said, you know, our obligation is for every student. You know, we're here for everybody. I don't think we need any MOA to tell us what needs to be done or what needs to be done. You know, just going through some of the bullets, you know, even we never even had a discussion of hiring a public relations person, you know, to keep up Facebook. You know, is that really needed? You know, you go a little bit further, you know, daily logs. Us as a board, we don't even receive a daily log. You know, there's days that we go without any information at all.
Dr. Guy's not back on. Other board members, thank you. We can hear you, Mr.
Okay.
Jones.
I'm back. Apologize. Laptop died. Mr. Pettis, where we at?
Hey, Mr. President, we just heard from Mr. Sandoval and Mr. Jones, and we're waiting for further comments or closure.
I got a couple of comments. You know, I believe that our district has an obligation to deliver education to all of our students. And I think Richard and Dion touched on that. Also, it's our staff and our superintendent that delivers education to our students. And we as a board, I believe we will never leave anybody out to give any student education or leave any school out or anybody out of our district. I know that we're going to take care of our students by giving them the best education, feeding them, keeping them safe. And I agree with all those comments that were made. And I said all that to say this, that, you know, sometimes we got to work together to help each other out, to see where we're going and what's the next step, what's happening, what's going to be able to help Blue Water or San Rafael or Laguna Acoma or Acoma. Yeah, you know, I understand that every school is a stakeholder, and I agree with Mr. Sandoval and Mr. Jones that we have to add all stakeholders to this agreement. And I don't know if that makes sense, but I think if we're going to make an agreement, we need to make an agreement with all our districts and all of our stakeholders.
Anybody else? Emily, did you make comments? I didn't know whether you did or not. Or yeah, you did at the beginning. Am I correct?
Yes, everyone made comments.
Okay. I think that in the past, if you don't mind, I'll make my statements. Is that I had read to you the guidelines that the state has set forth, and I believe that those are legitimate and important for us to recognize. I think the superintendent is trying to do his best in accomplishing that. I believe that it's also important for us to ensure that to make assurances to all of our stakeholder groups that we are going to be involved with them in communicating effectively. And that's what we need to do, is to do that with all groups, not only Laguna and Navajo Nation, but also with different communities. I think we can construct statements of assurances to describe that. And this is these items that are within the initial draft of understanding between Acoma and the district are a beginning of trying to ensure we do a system-wide effort to communicate all the critical information that is necessary, but also to ensure that we cooperate and we coordinate a lot of the things that are doing. And so I think that that's what we can do. I think that that agreements are legitimate ways in which we can communicate our promises, our assurances to the best of our abilities. And we need to proceed to do that throughout the year and in the years past. We've had MOAs with the Pueblo of Laguna, Pueblo of Acoma in the years gone by. I don't think that has ever been, we've approved those. So I think that we need to continue maintaining those kind of relationships with our tribes, with our communities. We've created agreements with the grants branch. So agreements are not unusual. The necessity of having agreements is even more critical when we have all the different populations of students' education at stake, and the health and safety of these children is at stake. And we need to recognize that the efforts to have dialogue with them is critical. So I'm hoping that you're saying that, I'm hoping that you are saying that a lot of these things are meaningful, acceptable, maybe with some editing to be more inclusive. But I think we can consider this as a good start for establishing statements of assurances with our communities throughout the district. And just because we think that it sounds like it's just for one, that we should disagree and not approve something like this. I think that we need to have, I think we have strong reasons and strong need to ensure that we coordinate. And since we've done those in the past, it's historical. We've had agreements in the past. Unless the board has decided that it doesn't like to do agreements, that'd be very interesting. We will then call into question a lot of other agreements we do. But this is a very practical approach to working together with our stakeholder groups. It also means that we would be much more obligated to communicate effectively to all our stakeholder groups, to grants, to Milan, to San Rafael, to Baca chapter, to Cebolleta. We need to do all of that. And so let's consider that we've hired an administrator, a superintendent who's seeking to try and establish strong relationships with everybody, and there is a need to do something like this. And so let's don't think that and get overly critical and say that, well, it doesn't cover everybody. Well, let's make it happen. Let's ensure that that we can develop a system-wide communication process for everybody, and let's abide by that. I think we can probably add 10 more things onto an agreement, but this is the start. And I'm hoping that that the board will recognize its responsibilities to the whole district, and in particularly those things that not only does the administration consider it important, but the state of New Mexico considers the importance of creating formalized relationships with them, with tribes, but I also consider it important. I think it's a good way to assure ourselves that we're focused on important things, doesn't mean that these are the items that necessarily would be sacrosanct. We can always modify them. But by and large, I would hope that in the future, in the next few days, we can begin to develop a more systematic approach to communicating with everybody. And so I'm not intending to have us, we're only considering this as a discussion item. And this gives the board a healthy opportunity to share in our thoughts and our desires. And I'm pretty sure that all board members are committed to reaching out to all of its stakeholder groups. I'm sure that the board is committed to working with the tribes who are very an integral sovereign group that needs to be recognized in that sense. And we will look forward to continuing with creating statements that describe our relationships, not only with them, but with the rest of the school district. And I'm confident that our superintendent will be able to do that. He has really worked hard to establish these connectivities. And that's what we need to respond to, is that without that effort, we're going to create a gap in terms of communication with our stakeholder groups. And so this is what I needed to tell you, board members. Mr. Perez, anybody else, any other thoughts?
No, sir.
If there's no other discussion, is there any other items that we need to discuss at this time, Mr. Perez?
Not on this item, Mr. President. I don't have anything additional.
All right, we will discuss, and you will discuss with your staff the contents of our debate here, and then move forward as appropriate for the next opportunity when we can address this more actively. Let's continue on with the rest of the board meeting.
Okay, Mr. President, board. Next item is the consent agenda. And I do recommend that the board approve the consent agenda items as presented this evening.
If you, I'll give you a moment to review the consent agenda, board members. Is there a motion?
I've looked them over. Yeah, I make a motion, we approve.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Dion Sandoval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Those against? Motion carries. Motion carries. Mr. Perez.
Sir, next up is superintendent's report. Getting some feedback there somewhere. So the only item is reentry update, but it's an important item. You've got a sense of some of the things that we've been experiencing the last few weeks. Things are changing day by day, hour by hour, I continue to say. Wanted to give a quick update in some certain areas. As you know, we submitted our district reentry plan to the PED on time, and we've got some feedback from them. They want some additional information on things like graduation requirements, some additional information on special ed, learning loss, monitoring technology. They gave us some items that are now included that weren't part of the plan criteria when we first submitted that. So Ms. Sanchez and I are working to get that turned back in by August 30th. So that plan is being improved and will be sent back to the state. Currently, we've had a lot of issues, discussion, and activity around attendance. You saw the policy that was brought up. Excuse me. We are taking daily attendance using PowerSchool. And just like we would in if the world were similar, or if the world were regular today, we would be taking daily counts of actual students in their seats in every classroom. We're still doing that in the virtual world. We're making sure we get daily counts every day for at least the first 2 or 3 weeks. We've got to get a good handle on which students are actually there in attendance, but more importantly, this is also providing us good data for connections and connectivity. Ms. Sanchez, I know that you're on and you've got your screen up. The next thing we're doing, and it's kind of side by side with the attendance. Ms. Sanchez is also keeping a good track and record and trying to narrow down which students have devices, which don't, where we're at. We still got a whole lot of devices to be distributed. One of the things we did today that we can ensure that all of our students can get their device and very soon, instead of waiting for the full length of the time when all Chromebooks are in, excuse me, we're taking from every computer lab throughout the district, and we're moving those, not only the desktops, I mean the laptops out, but we'll now be distributing desktops as well. And that will get us to the number that we need until the Chromebook order finally gets here. But I'd like to have Ms. Sanchez, are you on? Do you want to pick up right there?
Yes, Superintendent Pettis, Dr. Guy, President and members of the board, good afternoon. Our attendance, we're taking attendance critically, like a warm body count. Now it's a virtual body count. So this is an example of the first week. In general, if we look at the red area, our attendance rate, the first day was 17%. We had more kids absent the second day at 19%, staying at a high on Thursday at 21% absenteeism rate. On Friday, it increased as well. Looking at week 2, we had all our students in on Monday, which was yesterday. We got an improvement of 15% rate. So out of 3,235 students enrolled, we have 2,736 attending a class and 499 that were absent yesterday. This number correlates with the number of students that do not have devices. Any students without devices are excused absences. However, this is a good monitoring system to help make sure students have capacity to continue with virtual learning. With that, our Chromebooks right now.
Leave that up so I can look at it.
Okay. So this is August 17th, the current, yesterday. We break it down. We break it down into site, tribal, community.
Pull the tribal data
right
up.
Okay. So there's day 1 in comparison to day 7. And in the district right here, there's day 1 total enrolled and day 7 total enrolled. So our enrollment has increased in all areas in comparison.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So this is a very, when we look at the comparison, again, day 6, it increased a little bit. We have with our Chromebooks right now, in 2019, when we started the 3-year technology plan, we were able to deliver 270 Chromebooks to all our 7th graders. Our 3-year strategic 3-year technology plan narrowed it down to 3 months. So now in 2020, we've delivered 1,372 Chromebooks So now 7th through 12th has one-to-one devices. The contingency plan the district is using to make sure everyone has a Chromebook or device for virtual learning. Grades 3 through 5 are using district laptops, and K through 2, we're starting to finish off district laptops and now moving into desktops for students as we wait for the final order to come in. Jetpacks and hotspots are being utilized. Right now we've delivered 52 in all areas of grants, which is serving 75 students at this moment in time. We have 48 in process of delivery and 100 more orders in progress, jetpacks coming in. That will bring us close to, when we look at our attendance and our connectivity details, that would be close to serving majority of our population that has internet connectivity that would benefit from a jetpack or hotspot. Students that do not have service. We are still facing some barriers. Some of the students in grants are now using their hotspots, and data and finance has become a barrier. And so there's different support teams that are working with all those barriers within the district to ensure a student has the capacity to complete the virtual learning. Yes, you had a question?
Yeah, point of clarification. So it's not just areas of grants, but all communities, grants in surrounding area?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pettis. Yes, we're using all the areas, all the small communities that are enrolled in grants, using a variety of either jetpack or different contingency plan to make sure instruction continues to take place.
Which includes Laguna, Acoma, Blue Water.
Yes, we have a breakdown, the details of all the areas it covers from Cebolleta, Cubero, Laguna, Blue Water, San Rafael. We have some students in apartment complexes within the grants area. So I believe by the next report, we can have a map out of all the areas it's covering. So it's covering quite a bit of area as families reach out and we delve into the details of the barriers that each student has. The principals have provided us with data showing areas that they have not connected to, students that they have not connected to, and students that are facing detailed barriers to connect virtually. So we have to exhaust every effort to communicate with these families and give them the tools they need to continue learning. It has been a definite challenge. There's been a lot of support teams within the district, support teams within each site to ensure there's a connection with each student. So right now, large breakthrough on day 7 to have 2,736 students connected to and are on their way for virtual learning. And there's a plan for the 499, but the detailed attendance is critical. In the areas where it says 2 teachers, no attendance taken, or 3 or 2, those teachers right there are support teachers. They have some students in their class, but the homeroom teachers are taking attendance for them. So our district has 100% of our teachers, the principals accountable for taking attendance, so we can keep that data on connectivity and going into detail of the barriers and challenges that the students are facing. Any other questions or anything else you want me to add, Mr. Pettis?
No, I think that's part of the center of this presentation, but just overall, as we talked about in our the overall reentry plan, we discussed the 30-day chunking idea, where we take a look at the environment and talk to all stakeholders, look at the data and see where we're at for the next 30 days. We continue to do that. We hope that we can make good decisions as we proceed through this. In our next steps, we are keeping a close eye on what the state is doing, what other districts are doing, what we can do, what the medical situation is around us. But thinking about that, it gives some perspective. We talked about doing a 30-day checkup, and right now we're in day 7. So we want to continue to keep you all informed in this manner as we proceed. Because it seems like a lot happens in a week. So we'll, as things evolve, as things develop, we'll continue to bring this kind of information to the board and to the public. So that's all I have, Mr. President, with board members. Open for questions.
Board members, questions?
Mr. President, I do have a question for Renee. When do you foresee getting all the back order of laptops in? Did you hear me?
I can answer that question.
Okay.
So,
When do we foresee? What time frame are we looking at?
right now, the latest information we have as of this morning, October 1st. Did you get that?
And
Yes, I did. I think it's important to note that with these suppliers, it may seem like we're not making a concentrated effort, but shipping out 100 laptops, 200 laptops, 300 laptops to smaller schools in no way compares to shipping out 2,000 Chromebooks to larger districts. So it kind of pales in comparison. And so I can see suppliers, fulfilling the needs of the little ones primarily before the larger districts. And so I applaud your effort, Ms. Sanchez, Mr. Maldonado. If we can light a fire under some of those suppliers to get the rest of our Chromebooks in, by all means, let's do what we have to do. I think our president might want to take a drive out somewhere and pick them up himself if we can get them here sooner. But thank you for your effort in getting as many Chromebooks as you have received now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. And to be clear, we will have a computer of some sort to every student that needs one well before that October 1st date. We're getting those out as soon as we can. In fact, we have some people working overtime, and we have a plan for Thursday, Friday to be tagging some of our desktops. We have we're going to use the desktops from the labs that are there at the labs right now, at the computer labs at every school site. But we also have a shipment of new desktops. So even though we don't have Chromebooks, we do have computers for every student, and those are going to be getting out just as soon as we possibly can.
Are we still doing the packets on while these Chromebooks get here?
So yes, so the question was, do we still have packets for the students who have not yet gotten their computers? And the answer, we have some principals here, and I've been talking to some. I believe that the teachers that are so far have not been able to reach their students are printing packets, getting packets out, using USB drives, that kind of stuff. So it's not the perfect world, but as every day goes by, we're narrowing that number of students that don't have connection. We're and that's the, if there's no way to get a student connected, and there's no way to even drive them into Wi-Fi, that will be one of the strategies, is to get the packets out to them and monitor them. And we've even talked about how we get the packets out to the homes, and who's going to deliver those to the homes, and who's going to pick them up, and those kind of things. So we're hoping that's going to be very few students, but we also acknowledge that every single student counts. So we want to treat those students that have packets and with the same kind of attention that we're treating those students that are online. So, and that's in discussion. And we're getting closer to identifying exactly who those students might be. So it's a day by day, like back to a day by day evolution, day by day development. But we do have a lot of folks working on getting the devices out. Thursday, Friday, I believe, and Monday is our distribution days. Today, tomorrow, there's a lot of tagging going on and organizing to make sure that we know where all these computers are going. And just for clarification, once the Chromebook order does come in, and I hope they don't extend it past October 1st, that's the date we were given today. Once the new Chromebooks come in, those will be going out, and we'll be collecting those desktops back to get them back into the district. And so, in essence, every student will end up eventually with a new Chromebook for their use.
Questions, board members? Mr. Perez, let me go back to a couple of issues. I'm looking at the attendance data that Renee, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stephanie, but Renee, did you state that the absences are related to the lack of internet access?
That's one of the areas. If a student has full capacity to go virtual, they'll be, and they're absent, they'll be marked unexcused. If they do not, they'll still be marked absent. However, it'll be excused. So some of these are excused absences. I have a more detailed spreadsheet on all the barriers of students that are absent, broken down by site, by grade level. And that's what we're using for the network connectivity and the other barriers, such as financial data, running out of data from cell phone service. But that is a large and majority of the absences because of connectivity.
Okay, I'm looking at day 7, say for example, Laguna. And the absences are from each school. And Grants High School, there's 4. LA High School, there's 3. That's day 7. Laguna LA High School middle is 6. Mont Taylor's 1. When it comes to Acoma, the Cabero has on day 7, there's 12 that are absent, and and then 7 from Laguna Middle Lambs, 7 from Mesa View, 2 from. So what I'm trying to do is to relate absences to lack of internet access. Is that a correct way to make that relationship? Is that relationship correct?
Yes, that's not the only barrier. This data point is one piece of the puzzle. Some of it relates to connectivity, and there's other reasons for absences. Without showing the student names, I would have to.
Okay, I understand that. So now, are you able to tell how many students are without laptops at Laguna, Acoma, and Navajo, Baca Pruitt?
Right now, we just got in the reports from every principal, so those details are coming to me as we speak. So I don't have an exact number.
The reason I'm pointing this out is because the tribes have are very interested in the extent to which their children are accessing education via virtual learning. And so it's important for us to be able to communicate and also to work together to figure out what are some of the solutions that may be identified for these students. Some of them may be very difficult to resolve, but I think that they have a special interest to figure that is to know. Okay. And I think that that's one of the critical aspects of cooperation and coordination, is to know how many kids are being educated right now with different groups of students, not only just students in different schools, but particularly in those groups that have been clearly recognized as being important groups within the state, such as tribes. So, go ahead, Mr. Pettis.
Just to be clear, although Ms. Sanchez doesn't have that data right now, is it still coming in? We do have some good sources of information coming in. Sacred Wind is able to identify the homes by address. I know that Roseanne and Ms. Sanchez and Bernadette Gonzalez, they're also collecting information, not only information by location, by tribal affiliation, but also addresses. The addresses are very important so that we can start getting the data to find out which areas are missing the Wi-Fi piece and those kind of things. So we're still collecting all that kind of information. It's not all put together yet. But it's information that will be presented to the board at some time with very specific numbers. We just weren't able to gather it this first week of school, but I'm glad that we started this first week early before many districts did, because these are the kind of things, these are the kind of kinks that I knew were coming. These are the kind of problems that I knew were going to rise. And it's better to work with these kind of situations and problems in real life and be able to talk about them in real situations. But just so you know that the data that we're looking at collecting will be very specific about which families, where they live, and what they need.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a comment or a question for Mr. Perez. When they hook up the internet to a home, that charge goes to the home, am I correct?
Yes.
You know, what if the parents don't have the funds to connect? So that could be part of the problem where some of our students aren't connecting, you know? Because I've had some parents call me, and I've had our state representative call me that he's getting calls that they're not being able to pay for services to the internet. So I just wanted to bring that up and see if there's anything that we can do or come up with to fix that.
No, thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Everybody heard the question. It's about the affordability of the monthly cost for the internet, and so that just affirms the challenges that we have. So we know we're doing exactly where we're going with devices. We still have tower issues, internet issues, Wi-Fi with the internet service providers. Some of that's out of our control, but it's within our influence with our legislators and our state. But the next layer of a big challenge is we have families that are utilizing computers with their kids and all day long, and some don't have the full just unlimited data plans. So we have another set of issues that we're going to have to contend with. Some are very willing to get connected, but there's a monthly fee. Those kind of issues are beginning to arise. And those are the kind of things that we're, the information that I'm taking to the state via different sources. And as you mentioned, Harry Garcia, for one, representative, is going to the Legislative Finance Committee in the next few days. I've asked him to share those kind of things, excuse me, with the Legislative Finance Committee. And I'd like to also make clear that we're not the only district that's going to be experiencing that. I'm going to be taking a look around and seeing what, are there any solutions out there? Is there any grants? Is there any support coming our way? And by our way, I mean in the education world, we have an issue there. And that's it's a very important issue. It's critical, and it's one that we have to resolve one or another. We have no choice. That's, thank you. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Perez.
Mr. Perez, after the 30 days, what's our next decision?
Well, Mr. President, I would like to have that bring the data information to the board. And by that, I mean all the information that we have from stakeholder groups, all the information we have from the Department of Health, from the state government, and make the decision towards the end of the 30 days. I do believe that, well, I'd also bring it to the board that maybe at this first 30 day, at the end of the first 30 days, whatever decision is made, that we keep it through the first quarter rather than 30 days, 4 weeks, make it 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks. We're learning as we live through this, that maybe at least that first round should be decisions made for the quarter, so we can have time to settle in and not keep coming back to the drawing board, so to speak. But we still want to leave that flexibility in the plan so that we can step forward, step back, or stay in place in the same mode that we're in if we all choose to do so.
Mr. Perez, the next regular board meeting is in September. What date are we talking about? The first Tuesday is the 1st. So what is our schedule for board meetings in September?
Mr. President, can I sketch that out for you and get back to you on that?
I think we need to decide quickly because the communities are becoming very concerned as to what's going to happen in September. And so we may have to consider a special board meeting once you start to collect all the information. It may be, we should not wait too long because everybody has to plan. Communities, parents, and your schools and our schools.
So looking at my calendar, we have starting on August 10th, that's the first 5 days, 10, 15, 20. We're actually not scheduled to change. And this is a self-imposed schedule. This is not, the 30-day requirement for change is not by the state, not by PED, not by anybody except ourselves. So we're looking at, we have a regular board meeting on September 1st. And I would like to talk to you more, get some time to schedule this out. And if needed, we can have a special board meeting on the week after or the week before. I'm open to ideas.
The important thing is to ensure we get the data and the input from our stakeholder groups, from Sibayeta to San Rafael to Baca Pruitt to Laguna. So that's important for us to, along with internal input from our staff and your administration as to what we're going to do. So Mr. Perez, I think you said let's have you sketch out a bit more when that might be timely. The board members are also busy, so we need to recognize their schedule too.
I can set a date now if you'd like.
You can propose a date for a board meeting.
There's a regular board meeting on the 1st, September 1st. I'd like to propose a special board meeting on September 8th.
When is the end of the 30-day period?
It's not till the week after that.
I would suggest you try to consider using the meeting on the 1st so that there be at least a week between. Let's give it some thought.
Sure. And then, and I'd have to clarify to the public and to you, board members, if the board, the community, the data tells us we need to make a decision on the 1st, we can do that. And that decision, we can also make the decision on when that is implemented. So in other words, there's not a hard, I guess what I'm saying is there's not a hard and fast date in which we must switch gears.
So we could actually, as soon as you collect the data, consider a meeting that which board members are able to attend and make that decision as to what we do after the 30 days.
Yes, the only thing that we'd have to consider is and if we made a decision or had a special board meeting next week, the world may look very different 3 weeks down the road. And that's kind of why I hesitate to make decisions too quickly. We have the governor, Grisham, who's making decisions at that level. We always want to respect the Pueblo Laguna, Pueblo of Acoma executive orders for their lands.
And the Navajo Nation.
Navajo Nation, how that impacts the
and grants.
And grants, so that has an impact on our decision making. And I think that our decision making next week may be very different than it will be 3 weeks from now.
Okay, so as it stands right now, we're doing virtual learning until such time as the board makes a decision based upon your collection of all data, input, and recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to add that the state is allowing, well, they've gone back and forth with this a little bit, but they were allowing the special ed pre-K through 2 students in. We've chosen, as most districts have, to not go that route. Got another set of issues if you bring staff on back to the schools during that time period. We've seen what that's created in some of the other districts. So we got to be very careful. If you make a decision on one side, you're going to create some situations on the other. There's also a change and direction with at-risk students. At one point, we thought that we were able to bring back some at-risk students at the schools, to the schools, face-to-face. That decision has since changed, and where that is no longer allowable. So there's moving targets, not only with the direction of our schools as far as bringing students in or face-to-face online, but there's also changing information on the medical side, the virus, and direction and conflicting information sometimes. between CDC and Department of Health. So we're sorting through this all. We decided we're going to have to just make the best plan we can, detailing out those kind of things in our response to these different types of things. And just like to share, it's not a, it's once again, it's not where every square peg fits in the square hole. We're trying to make the best decision with all available information and data that we have at each moment.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Let's move on to the rest of the agenda. Right now, I see that that concludes your superintendent's report. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Board members, the announcements, you see them as they are listed there. Future agenda items and adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll adjourn.
Motion made by Ron Ortiz to adjourn. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I guess I'm the last one. I guess I'm the last one left, so I second it. I don't know where the other two went.
All right, motion is seconded by Emily Hunt Daly. And we still have a quorum to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah, just FYI, Dion sent a message that he was having some internet issues, so he might have got dropped off.
Okay, okay, the motion has been made to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And thumbs up from, what is your motion? What is your, did you say aye, Emily?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. You keep muting me, so I can't. I have to keep unmuting myself.
Okay, thank you. The meeting has been adjourned at 7:55 p.m. Thank you very much. You all may now leave the meeting. Mr. Perez, let's talk later.